I think this is an abuse of the public office of Justice Ikpambasi and the trust imposed on him by the Nigerian government. Appeal that Justice Morris Ikpambasi should resign from his seat as the Chief Judge of Benue State, for he has abused the trust imposed on him as a Chief Judge of Benue State.
To speak with Justice Ikpambasi, who is the State Chief Judge, failed at the time of filing this report. Now moving on to other parts of Africa. Egyptians are voting on Tuesday in the third and final day of presidential elections as incumbent President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is widely expected to win a third term in office. The election this year is overshadowed by the war in Gaza and the severe domestic economic crisis. For weeks before the elections, authorities have urged people through local media to vote en masse amid fears of a low voter turnout. On Sunday, the Election Commission said that voter turnout was high and exceeded all expectations. And in outside Africa, United Nations General Assembly is due to vote later today on a non-binding resolution demanding an immediate humanitarian in Gaza. The United States, one of the only 5 permanent members of the Security Council, used its veto on Friday to halt a draft text calling for a ceasefire. In a bid to build pressure, Arab countries called for the new special session of the General Assembly following a visit to the Rafah border with more than a dozen Security Council ambassadors this week. There were no vetoes in the General Assembly, but unlike the Security Council, its resolutions are not legally binding. Still on the news, in business, the federal government says if the country records a solid revenue performance, it will return to the National Assembly for appropriation of extra revenue in 2024. Wale Edun, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, spoke when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Finance led by Sani Musa. President Bola Tinubu had presented a 27.5 trillion naira budget proposal for 2024 to the National Assembly about 2 weeks ago. Speaking on the development, Eden said the revenue performance of the country is encouraging, adding that it is expected to continue. Now in entertainment, American singer and songwriter Ciara has welcomed her third child with her husband, NFL star Russell Wilson. The 1-2-step singer and football star announced on Monday night that they have welcomed a baby girl, whom they named Amora. The couple are also parents to Sienna Princess Wilson and Wynn Harrison Wilson. Ciara is also the mother of future Zahir Wilburn, whom she shares with her ex Future. Now moving on to sports. The Super Falcons goalkeeper Chiamaka Nnadozie was crowned the CAF Women's Goalkeeper of the Year for 2023. The Paris FC of France shortstopper beat fellow goalkeepers in the form of Moroccan shortstopper Khadija El Michi and South Africa's Andile Olamini. The award is a reward for heroics in the Women's World Cup in Canada and Australia, finishing the tournament with 3 clean sheets. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. You can also view what's from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Shade Uwe. Many thanks for watching.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Nigeria is witnessing an increase in entrepreneurs, startup companies, and small and micro-scale businesses. Economists say one of the major reasons for this is a problem that has plagued the country: unemployment. Many Nigerians spend several years at home jobless before securing their first jobs or settling for other options. The National Bureau of Statistics puts the country's unemployment rate at 33.3%, the highest on record. Rather than sit at home and complain, more young people are becoming innovative and turning their hobbies into businesses. Olayanwaju sold clothes in his undergraduate days to make extra income. He now does the same thing, but this time around to make a living.
It came as a motivation for me since my university period, because I actually went into selling of NYSC kits, selling all these basic minor clothes. And after a while, after going to service, it occurred to me that the kind of set of people I roll with, this is what is going on in town. This is the fashion store. This is the brand. And I've been known as Roger Wears. So why is Roger Wears still selling this? Why can't he just move up from this business into the main industry?
Samuel Joy learned to cut hair during her days of unemployment. It's now what she does for a living.
Actually, it hasn't really been easy though, but a lot of challenges ahead of it, and some I've faced though, and it's cool. But I love it being, I was once a tomboy. That's when I learned barbing. And ever since then, I think I've been able to convince people to believe my skills.
Unemployment and poverty also forced Willie to be a barber on the streets of highbrow Victoria Island in Lagos.
When I was growing up, father actually wanted me to do something good. He wanted me to go to school, wanted me to have a good grades in school. Well, you know the system in the country. When after the school stage, you come back, you graduate from school, you still don't have good jobs out there.
On the flip side, unemployment has led to the stagnation of some individuals who find it tough to adapt because of their specializations. Wale Scott, a professional sports broadcaster, lost his job at the peak of his career. His unemployment journey lasted about 7 years. Moving on and getting another job was more difficult than he had imagined it would be.
A Wale Scott with all that talent doesn't have a job. But I realized that every office I went to, when I picked myself up, when I get there, the guys who are in my department there are like, I beg, I space no day, because they have job security problems. As in, if this guy comes, he's going to take our job. That was my major reason why I didn't get a job that early. Everybody felt like, it's good. If he comes, he's going to take our job and all that. So I didn't get a job for a long time.
All this doesn't mean there aren't people who still get white-collar jobs. But what factors make some people employable and others unemployable?
As a job seeker, you need to position yourself to get that fresh information. The longer a job opening is out there, the reduced or the more reduced your chances as a job seeker to get shortlisted. So that's the first thing first is the information and the network. Then the next step is actually your own preparedness, which is your documents, your marketing tool, your CV. Anything that will sell you best should come first on your CV or should be prominent on your CV. There are some schools that if you are a graduate of that school, just put it at the bottom of your CV. So if your CV is a 3-pager, let it be maybe like the second to the last item on your CV. There are some schools that you need to put proudly on the first page because those schools are considered to be thorough and rigorous in their processes. So how do you apply? If you're applying to an online portal, fine, you have to upload your CV still. Or you could apply to an email. Usually such vacancies, there's always an email for you to send your email. So when applying, ensure that you're applying properly. And the basic rules are, the subject must be the job title you're applying for. So for instance, if it's an accounting role, the subject should be accountant or accounting opening, something like that.
Everybody's got talent, but are you actually the right talent for that particular role? Then again, what exactly are you prepared? When I mean the right talent, do you have the right skills? Do you have the right qualification, experience? So all this, and also it has to do with your behavioral attributes for the role. So if you have all this, yes, maybe you could actually get qualified for the role. But when you don't have this, it becomes like a misfit for the role. What makes people unemployable is also a determinant of your readiness. Are you available? Are you actually what we want for that role?
At a point in my life, I actually did consider it. And I was back in school. I did consider going into Yahoo Yahoo.
All right, so what changed your mind?
It's something that when I tried to, I felt this adrenaline rush of being scared of being caught, being scared of sitting in jail. It's something that I did try for like a week, not even, it didn't take up to 2 weeks, just a week. And within that week, it's something I understood that no, this is no way for me. Because, for example, there are a lot of youths that are just like me in the same markets that were into this business. And I've seen a whole lot of them that have bought cars just from this business, that have gotten a house just from this business.
There is no lady that is willing to do something that is illegal. Yeah. It's just due to the, what is it called? The bad economy in our country. Because I see myself as somebody that has really been focused from my childhood. There are some ladies that doesn't have patience in doing some things they do. That's why you see some runs girls around.
Our Nigerian youths won't try because go easy. That's it, kind of primary, from primary to secondary. Secondary, most of them are university, not graduate. After graduation, on the serve, if you have a year, a year to be served. So one serve now, most of them want to say federal, one serve the federal, and one can serve the states. Instead to can remain one, síbẹ̀, on that one left. So I'm out quickly and most of them want online business, non she. The bad one no agency, and our youth not quite in business than say.
So I feel a lot of people actually have this mindset of they want to go into legal ways and make it out of legal ways. So one day they can always say, back then I never had it, but today I have it because I set my mind into this market business and not the other shady business, because no one knows tomorrow.
The problem is people around you tend to actually give the respect to those people, and you lose your respect as the elderly one. So the time I felt I lost was the time I got into drinking, because people at home expect you to come back and they want to talk to you, they want to insult you, and to forget it, to get a deaf ear to the insult. You get to get drunk, get high, just come home and sleep. Whatever they're saying, you can't hear them. And it's a terrible mental state when you can't bring money out to feed your family. You can't bring money out to take care of the house. The worst part is when you go out in the mornings, early in the mornings, to go and look for a job and come back in the evening. Your neighbors are wondering, where does he go every day, Seth? As in, when it's time for them to pay for the woman that sweeps the floor, he can't pay. Time to pay for the rent, he can't pay. So where does he go every morning? But you can't stay at home as a man. But you still go out all day, come back at night, no luck. And then nobody at home is understanding that there's no luck, it happens. They're like, why would you have luck?
Most of my friends are already well made, and probably there are times when they will just call me, what's up? Knowing that I'm this kind of person that likes going to parties, I like going out. What's up, Proja? Come on, let's go out, let's hang out. But due to the fact that I'm jobless and probably have no cash on me, I will just respectfully decline the offer.
Both the private sector and individual have roles to play as far as employment-related issues are concerned. Take the private sectors, for example. Private sectors, or private sector rather, not sectors. The private sector have, they have to help to drive the public sectors in every area where it is failing. I give you a very good example. In the ongoing pandemic, the government of Nigeria has not been able to take to life any vaccine. Not because there are no researchers, not because there are no research institutes, but there were other factors that go into that space to make it happen. One of it is funding of research. We have to start changing the orientation of people. There is the mentality of quick work. There is a due paying process period when people are supposed to commit to a job or a role or a work or a vocation and learn the ropes, become experts.
Everybody has a skill. Yeah. But it's just sacrificing the time and creating the time in making that thing grow in you.
When we talk about vocational trainings, right, I've come just like you said, not like white collar jobs is not for everyone. I mean, we've come to realize that. At the moment at Jobberman, we are in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. We are upskilling about 5 million. Well, the mandate is 5 million young Nigerians over 5 years, right? And place 3 million of them in work. And of the 3 million of them that we're upskilling, some of the things that have come up is the importance of gig work, the importance of internship. So it's not just having a full-time employment, but having dignified employment, right? And blue-collar jobs also fall under dignified employment. However, because of the country that we're in, a lot of blue-collar jobs are not regarded as dignified, right? So you go anywhere outside the country, so maybe the developed world, and you have like a plumber, you have like a carpenter, and they are regarded and they are respected, right? However, in Nigeria, you have carpenters, you have plumbers, and most times those professions, although not white collar, are not regarded, right? So what we really would love to do is to make these blue collar jobs dignified. And how do we make them dignified? By teaching these people, or teaching people who are going through vocational trainings, the necessary skills that will make them stand out. So yes, white collar jobs are not the only answer when it comes to employment. Blue collar jobs as well are our answer to unemployment.
After all said and done, changing the public perception that white-collar jobs are the only dignified form of labor may just be a start in the eradication of the stigma of unemployment. More people building businesses from their talents, passions, and hobbies.
Funding is one of the major challenges confronting businesses of all shapes and sizes in Nigeria and across the world. Finance is the lifeblood of every business. Without adequate cash inflow, businesses will not be able to procure raw materials, convert them to finished product, market or distribute the finished product, or even pay their employees. As a result of this, many financial institutions have sprung up to meet the financial needs of businesses. Once dominated by commercial banks, Nigeria's financial services industry and business funding scene now boast of other institutions such as venture capital firms, private equity firms, fintech and crowdfunding platforms. We will also look at the Afro-global expansion in the midst of a struggling economy. Welcome to Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye. Now, first off, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, says it will continue to support the government in its advisory role to ensure a better tax administration and effective system in the country. President of the CITN, Samuel Agbelui, said this during the Institute's Fellowship Conferment and Annual Dinner and Awards. Details in this report. The atmosphere here is warm and celebratory. As with tradition for year-ends, it is not unusual for organizations to celebrate and award members for outstanding performances. This year, senior members of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, gather with kith and kin for their conferment as fellows of the Institute.
Obey all rules and regulations of the Institute from time to time.
President of the CITN, ably represented by the Deputy Vice President, Simon Kato, appreciates new fellows. He enjoins them to show professionalism and live to expected standards wherever their services are required.
As tax professionals, as you are aware, the Institute takes this ritual seriously and only confers its highest class of membership to deserving and qualified members.
Fellowship is not merely an honor, it is a responsibility, a commitment to uphold the highest standards of profession, to mentor and inspire the next generation.
As the evening swings in and members are feted to a time of wining and dining, issues of taxation and government fiscal policies also hold sway. The guest speaker, Executive Chairman of the Federal Capital Territory Inland Revenue Service, Haruna Abdullahi, gives an analogy between residents getting their PVCs and having their tax clearance certificates. Government is also charged on trust and effect of tax payments.
I was trying to make a point regarding why it is very important for people to file their tax returns and have a tax clearance certificate. Because it's important, I compared it to having PVCs. So I said if you have a PVC and you pay your tax, you've done your part, you've voted, and then you've paid tax, and then you are able to interrogate political leaders. Because people decide not to, and then you are also expecting so much from government, but you are not doing your part.
And CITN has been contributing not just today. The entire Finance Act that have come up in the past administration, we've always been part of it. And that is what we are out for, supporting to ensure there is a better tax administration and an effective tax system in the country. And we won't give up.
But there must be trust in governance. People are willing to pay. But when we pay, what does government do with the money? We must see the effect of our payment of the taxes complying. Then apart from that, they should make it easy. They should not allow the tax administration to give way to things like corruption or under the carpet activities.
At the end of the day, awards are presented to various district societies. The media and individuals are proving themselves worthy. All right, welcome back. Now, despite the development in the financial services industry, many businesses, especially startups and SMEs, are still unable to effectively raise capital to remain a going concern or even take off in the first place. This is partly due to the stringent measures put in place by these fund providers to ensure that their limited capital is made available to organizations and invested in projects that will theoretically guarantee the best returns. Unfortunately, many organizations, especially SMEs, lack the capacity to scale through these hurdles because of their weak structures and the managerial inexperience of their founders and operators. Now, my guest, Darlington Onyeagoro, has a diverse work experience in various companies and roles. He is currently the co-founder and CEO of Aladdin Digital, an app that supports Africa's economy by providing an ecosystem of solutions for gig workers and SMEs. Prior to that, they founded and advised Blacklisting, an alternative database for chronic debtors and fraudulent individuals reported by verified online lending firms in Nigeria. Darlington also served as the MD of Okash Nigeria under Opera Software AS, where they handled business development, product development, strategy formulation and execution, and people management. Many thanks for joining me, Darlington, on Business Insights. A whole lot of people seem to have issues to differentiating between startups and small businesses. They seem to misplace one for the other. Are there similarities? Are there key differences? Can you just enlighten us?
Well, thank you for having me. Okay, the term startup is about 5 to 6 years old in Nigeria. I can still remember some of the earlier startups. I mean, that basically in the financial side, when they started with these small loans, what they call nano loans or digital loans. I remember the first time I applied for a loan on a mobile app, and within a few minutes, I got alerts. I was like, is this possible? You know, in Nigeria, that somebody is not seeing you physically, there's no account officer, you're not filling a physical form, and within 5-10 minutes, somebody is willing to give you 5,000 naira. So that was the beginning of a turnaround, you know, in terms of financial technology. But right now, we have various types of startups. But let me try to differentiate between SMEs and startups. I had, earlier this year, one of my billionaire friends, I will say billionaire friend because he has an oil and gas company in the southeast. His monthly turnover is over 10 billion. In fact, it was my classmate, actually. We went to the same school, we're in the same class. We both read mechanical engineering. And he just chatted me on WhatsApp and said, please, how do I convert my business to a startup? He's somebody who has almost probably 100 employees, you know, a lot of, you know, tankers, he has petrol filling station, doing billions in turnover a month. But he wanted to raise $10 million, all right? So he felt he had to convert his SME into a startup. So I sent him some documents. So it's very critical. People are getting confused. You know, people hear startup. And they say, but I've been doing business and paying salaries. How do I become a startup? What is so special about these startups? You hear startups raising as much as $90 million. You have startups raising as much as, you know, $50 million, $5 million. Small boy is 27 years old, has a 2-3 month startup, has raised $10 million. And you're wondering, I've been in business for 25 years before this boy was born. How am I not able to raise $10 million? So it's very critical that we explain what a startup is and what an SME is. A startup is a young business that is designed primarily to grow very fast. All right, and normally they actually use technology to bring new innovations into the public in terms of innovation. Let me use the term barbing salon. Whereas an SME, for example, is not about growing fast, and SME is more predictable and also in short term more profitable. While startups are not actually profitable, they deal with more valuation. I will break that in very shortly. Now, for example, I can see a barbing salon in my area, and I feel there is still one more need for a barbing salon in my area. So I will go ahead and replicate that same barbing salon, but I now provide a better environment, cozy environment, better professionals, better staff, customer care. Maybe when you come to my barbing salon, I give you a bottle of wine or tea or coffee. It's still a barbing salon. So that business model has been established for donkey years. You barb, you collect your revenue, and so on and so forth. But all you're just doing is adding, you're just like, you know, not reinventing the wheel per se, but you're just adding some level of finesse to what already exists. That is a small business. Because you're not going to be replicating that barbing salon across Lagos in the next 2 years or across Nigeria. But a startup can start up today with a new innovation in barbing. Maybe it's bringing a new app or a new technology that has not been seen before, a novel idea in that same barbing industry. So that's why startups are different. So you are just replicating barbing salon, adding some small touch up here to make it different, differentiate yourself from the market. But a startup comes on with maybe an app that barbs the hair automatically, or an app that does something, very funny. So when they come, they are able to raise more capital because they are bringing technology and into innovation, and they are designed to take over the market in maximum 5 years. While you are only after making sure at the end of the month you can cover your debts, both short-term debt, meet them, and then pay your salaries and make some money for yourself. So that's the difference between SMEs and startups. So let me stop there, then you can take it from there.
All right, so basically, from all I can just infer from what that you have said, for startups, they have the benefit of innovation and technology to do things differently that the ordinary small businesses cannot do.
Exactly.
So it's not about their paid up capital or their financial levels per se.
Exactly. So, like I said, startups, the word startup usually ride on technology. There are different types of startups. There's agri startups. You understand that there are those in insurance. That's what they call insurtech. There's fintech. There's food tech. There's also prop tech, property. Yes. So 2 days ago, a friend of mine called me, and he's designing a platform that's going to actually fragment, your investment into real estate, where you can use your 10,000 naira and you own a portion of a building. And it's all just on app. Just go on the app, put your account, fund your wallet, and look at different buildings and different, rent, and then apply 10,000 naira. You're now a shareholder in a building. So what you cannot naturally do previously, they bring in new technologies, sometimes using blockchain, for example, to verify who is who and who has how much stock you have in that particular property, so that when it is time for dividend share, you know how much you're going to get. So prop tech is rising up, fintech, insurtech, food tech, agri-tech. All these guys are just using technology to do the same things that we know differently. And they are designed, so they are designed to grow faster. So that's why they also raise significant amount of money, because for you to actually grow fast, to get to the next level, you need to raise lots of money.
Okay, fine. So how does one create a startup as it is?
The first key to creating a startup is, what are you innovating? What brand new idea or novel idea do you have? Or even if not a novel idea, you have a version of something. For example, there are a lot of fintechs today that do the same thing. There are a lot of apps today that give out nano loans. You understand? Last time I checked, there are over 500 apps on Play Store that give loans today, and so they're all doing the same thing, you understand that, and they're all called startups, you understand that, but they are using, for example, the difference is that the way they actually verify their customers might be different. The technology behind the way they onboard you and the way they verify you before they give you a loan maybe novel to them, or they may have a patent for that type of technology that verifies customers before they give a loan. But you, the end user, may not see the difference, but the investor knows that this guy has built something that allows him to the failure rate, or what they call the debt ratio to reduce. Other guys will be having 80% debt. When they give out loans, the bad loans is about 80%, but this guy has 2%. So you are still in the same industry, but he has improved this process in such a way that investors' monies are not lost. When they invest in him. So that's different. So the key word there is innovation, and who is your audience? What are you bringing to the table, and how fast can you actually iterate, launch, do product? That's what they call product market fit. That means you're able to say, okay, this my product has a market, there's an audience for it, somebody is willing to pay for it, and you're able to scale very fast. So that's what differentiates a startup from a small business.
Okay, fine. That really settles it now. But let's talk about funding. In my intro, I talked about funding challenges for startups, for small business, even for large businesses as well. But let's just focus on startups and small businesses. Before now, it has always been going to the commercial banks and dropping some sort of collaterals and scaling all the hurdles before you can eventually get these finances that you need for your business, or to even upskill your business. But lately there have been talks about people starting businesses from finances they got from family and friends. We've heard about crowdfunding and private equity. Can you just share some of this with us?
Okay, so funding is actually open to both SMEs and startups, but just that startups have a brighter chance to raise more significant money. Before I came here today, I was looking at a crowdfunding site called WeFunder.com. We are actually listed on WeFunder.com. We're actually raising some money right now on WeFunder. So I looked at a particular startup. This guy has raised $981,000 in the last 2 to 3 months, almost $1 million. And I looked at the product. He has not really launched his product.
He had that funding already.
Already. You go to the platform. You go to WeFunder.com/black. You will see if I call their name now, you go there live. Everybody can go and check them out. $981,000 raised through crowdfunding. People are investing $100, $300 because they believe in the idea. He only has 100 customers who have only done transactions for 2 weeks.
Okay, let's just take it one step at the other. For some people may not really understand, there's been so much talk about crowdfunding. What is it really and how does it really operate and work?
So what crowdfunding does is that it allows you, as a startup, mostly SMEs may not be able to do that. So as a startup, it allows you to actually tap into the community. So you share your idea, on their platform, and people see your idea and they believe in your idea, and they can pitch in as small as $100, which is about 100,000 naira, to buy shares in your company. So they're actually counting on you, they're betting on you that you're going to be a successful startup. So that actually started mostly in America, where they actually changed the regulation in a few years ago to allow what they call community rounds. Community rounds means that your customers, your friends, family and friends, and people in the public can actually become part of your company by just investing a small unit of $100 into your company. And a lot of mega startups, today, or big companies, started by crowdfunding, all right? But for you to do that in most cases, you have to be a US registered company. That's one of the advantages that startups have that SMEs don't have. A lot of these startups you see today, I don't want to call their names, they're all registered in US. Even my own company, Aladdin, we're headquarters in Delaware, we're in the US, so we have to register a company in the US and the UK.
So it has to be in the United States?
Yes, because you have to get SEC approval in the US. You have to get, there's a whole documentation, a whole process that's involved.
So it doesn't really come so easy.
Yeah, but it can be done. A lot of it. So I was among the first. My startup was the second startup in Africa to go on that platform. Now that was in 2021 when we went on that platform. We were the second startup, Aladdin, to raise money through crowdfunding on WeFunder. But it was a whole lot of process, a lot of documentations, a lot of stuff. But it allows you to raise money easily from American people. I have a lot of American investors who just, this is Africa. We like what you're doing in Africa. I'm giving you $1,000. Some give $10,000. Some give $5,000. So crowdfunding is one channel. But beyond that, also venture capitalists are people who are actually designed to give you money as a startup. All right, they look at your proposal, they do due diligence on you, they look at your projections. They're not banks, they're just individual, finance companies or investment companies. Some of them are actually family investments. So a big family that is wealthy can have somebody to manage a particular fund. It's a $50 million set aside to invest in fast-growing startups. So that's why it's quite difficult for SMEs are quite limited. They always go to commercial banks, but some startups now are not designing products to help SMEs with their working finance. So for example, you have maybe a PO, or I know some startups actually give you up to 10 million naira for a PO, and then they just fund it for you and they take that money back, invoice financing and stuff like that. But to raise real money like $10 million, $5 million for SMEs is quite difficult because the venture capitalists cannot see that speed. They can't see that speed to growth. They're asking you, when are you going to dominate Nigeria? When are you going to dominate? When are you going to move across Africa? When are you going to move to London? When are you going to have a London office? The average small business is not thinking in that direction.
Not at all.
So that's the difference. So it's really, you see, there's a psychology between startup and SMEs. So if you want to actually make that switch, first of all, you must have an innovative product that is able to scale extremely fast to attract venture capitalists, angels, crowdfunding, and all these other things that are available.
All right. So, but from what you have said, it's not really something that's so common for the small businesses. But how are these forms of funding popular, as in the level of popularity in Nigeria? For instance, you've talked about crowdfunding that you have to have some presence in the United States. What about for private equity and venture capital? Do you really need so much hurdles per se to scale?
No. You can actually be a Nigerian entity. There are a lot of Nigerian companies that actually raise money from venture capital. But for most venture capitals, because they're also looking at short-term investment. So let me just give you a startups are not designed to be profitable. And I want to say this clearly because a lot of Nigerian
they're not designed to be profitable.
Yes, they're not designed to be profitable. They are designed for valuation. They are designed for exits mostly. You understand that? That's why it took Uber. Uber was operating for years, and Uber was never profitable. But it was valued at above $50 billion. The value of the company was above $50 billion. It's when they did an IPO, when they went public, all right, that all the guys that invested for years cashed out. So that's our startup normally work. They're actually designed to grow very fast. Their value increases. You can see, for example, let me use a popular one called Paystack. Paystack was bought by Stripe for $200 million. And Paystack was just about 4 or 5 years old. But imagine a 4 or 5 years company being purchased at the rate of 200 billion today for a company that's 4 or 5 years old, because it grew so fast, and then they could see the value, and it's supporting thousands of businesses, doing billions of naira in transaction per day. That is what Stripe like saw, and they saw the potential to spread across Africa, and they put $200 million on the table. You understand that? So on that thing again, I want to point is that a lot of SMEs they're actually startups in disguise.
How so?
Yeah, because some of them have innovated a lot of things. If you go online, you see people that have innovated some technologies that can be scaled across Africa. But because they have the SME mentality, they don't understand the startup ecosystem. They are losing out on venture capital.
So they need some sort of reorientation.
Yes, reorientation, a lot of training. So I'm actually thinking about it because a lot of SMEs that have done things very innovative in the medical line, some in the beauty side, some even you go to some people who would have designed a bike. I saw a guy online who designed his own type of bike. You understand? I'm using scrap metal and very beautiful bikes. But you understand that? So if you go to a local investor, they will tell you, okay, I'll give you 100 million, but I want a return on investment in 6 months. A venture capitalist can give you 100 million. I will not call you online for the next 2 years. You get to my point? Because as he's giving you that 200 million, he's giving 10 other startups 200 million. His calculation is that out of that 10, 8 will fail, 2 will succeed. And the 2 that will succeed will give him back his money plus interest. So you can see that venture capital, they have a different mindset. But a Nigerian investor, a local investor will give you 50 million. He won't allow you rest. The chief will call you to VGC every 2 days to come and explain what happened to his 50 million. But the venture capital will give you $1 million. And I'm sure they may not even call you. All they want is just your monthly report or quarterly report telling them how the business is going. Because they're betting on you that you are going to return that investment 10x. For example, some of the guy that invested in Uber, the guy was saying he got, I think 1,000x. His investment, yes. When Uber went public, he invested small money, but by the time Uber went public, he got almost 1,000x. If I don't want to take his, in fact, he became a millionaire and started investing in other startups from his own Uber investment. So that's how powerful startup is. They give you the kind of, when they exit, the value of what you bought. Sometimes you can buy a startup when the startup is just $1 per share. All right, and then by the time it's exiting, the value of that share is $70. So that's a 70x.
So if there are so much advantages with the startups ecosystem and all of that, so how come the average Nigerian is not starting some sort of startup or something?
No, there is. Yesterday evening in Lekki Festival, I was in an event for startups. I mean, I saw startups everywhere. A lot of founders. There's this sticker, founders. So someone was saying there are over 20,000 startups already in Africa.
Oh, wow.
And Nigeria is one of the leaders. One of the leaders in Africa is Nigeria. Nigeria gets significant amount of investment from either Silicon Valley or any other places. So the startup boom is already here. So people are now building, and Nigerians are Africans are creative. Kenyans, Rwandans, people are creating a lot of stuff, right? So it's you that don't know. But really, young people are creating startups everywhere, every day. So, but you see, what we need to also educate millions of SMEs out there who have innovative stuff, but don't know how to package it.
Yes.
I've heard a lot of people say, you can actually register your business for $500. In US, I mean, in the United States, you can do it for $1,000, and then you have a US bank account. But these are the things that those guys see. They don't want to invest in Nigerian entities. They want to invest in US entities where you pay your taxes, where you are fully regulated by SEC, and a whole lot of stuff. So that's why most startups have to register in the US in order to attract foreign capital.
Let's talk about Afro Global expansion. There's a whole lot of issues happening globally with the wars everywhere. But let's talk about how this expansion is going in the midst of struggling economy.
Okay, so the honest truth is that anybody who is smart will tell you that if you want to earn anything today, earn in dollars. All right, so if you are a business that is still earning in Naira, you have a long way to go. And not that, and this cuts across both SMEs, startups, conglomerates, whoever you are.
Okay.
That's why a lot of people are leaving the country. A lot of strategic investors, about GSK, a lot of people. So if you earn in Naira and then you convert to dollar, you realize you're not doing well. You can make $1 billion Naira, you think you are doing well. Convert that 1 billion to dollar, and compared to the investments you have made or the loans you have taken, you took to get to that level of revenue, you realize that you're not doing well. So what the Afro Global concept is a concept that talks about how do I also penetrate other African countries, or how do I actually also earn money from diaspora, from Africans in diaspora. I need to earn in pounds. I need to earn in dollar. You get my point. So you don't need that thing. So that's that thing. As a business, sit down in 2025, ask yourself,